Welcome back to iFish News Fishing Podcast. Your host, Glenn, with the City of Allen Fishing Field Team, COAF Field Team on YouTube. And this round, we're talking episode 24, podcast 43 in our Little Red Book of Fly Fishing series. And in this case, we're talking tips 110 through 113. And specifically, you got tip 110, you got to pick a pocket or two. 111, rock on. 112, pillow talk. And 113, rob the banks. Let's go give you a quick update on some recent happenings to go right into the fly fishing book. Okay, since the last time yours truly posted the iFishing News Fishing Podcast, episode 42, or actually it was 22, podcast 42, we posted several videos since we were getting ready to hit the coast over here in Galveston, Texas. So did also do a few live streams. One was some fishing updates where we're getting ready to prep for going to Galveston. Also some quick updates on some things, recent happenings, specifically while we were there in Galveston. And then finally, a quick tip, answer the mail, what rig we used while we were down there. So check those live streams out, as well as those videos. Hopefully there's some content there that, well, as our motto says, from the City of Allen Fishing Field Team, learn to fish by our trials and errors. All right, let's go on to episode 23, podcast 43 of the iFish News Fishing Podcast. Okay, first in this series, tip 110, you've got to pick a pocket or two. While searching for that big run that everyone figures will hold several trout, many anglers overlook smaller patches holding water that, taken collectively, might prove even more productive. You'll find these pockets of soft water behind rocks or in overlooked places where subtle currents merge. The payoff comes in casting to trout that get less attention from the other anglers, with less wasted time walking up and down the banks. Oh, wow. I recall a certain area on the Blue River where there is a lot of rocks and riffles and whatnot, and in those pockets, I think year in, year out, we've been able to at least pick a pocket or two, just as tip 110 indicates. So another good tip from the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. And moving on to tip 111, rock on. That rock in the middle of the river or jutting off the bank should always get your attention. Why? Because the slab of granite affects the flow of the river, altering the current and creating subtle microcurrents around it. From downstream, you'll be able to see two distinct current lines to the right and left where the water folds around the rock. Eventually, those currents merge like the bottom point of the letter B. That's where cast number 1 should land, at the bottom of the B. Furthermore, your next cast should be right up the two current seams. The fish will usually be where the fast water meets the slower water. That dead spot right behind the rock might also be worth a cast or two, although the fish usually don't tuck their nose right into the stone. Think about it. The food is washing down river, packed in the seam where the current meets the slower water. The fish could swim out into the heavy water, but that takes energy, and the insects are moving at a quicker pace. If you're a fish, wouldn't you hang out where you have to use a little or as little energy as possible to hold your position, especially when the buffet is churning right there? Okay, yeah, I've fished scenes before, and I've seen where the trout are in the slower water and they dart out and get the insect or bait or whatever I'm using, in this case a fly, and then they'll dart back into that slower water. So another good one from the Little Red Book of Fly Fishing. Tip 112, pillow talk. Trout like hanging out behind the rocks, but it's always worth looking in front of them as well. The hydraulic effects of water pushing downstream and pressing against the rock create a small back wave in front of the rock. Call it a cushion or pillow, but a smart, often big trout can ride that wave just like a surfboard, expending little energy and reaping the benefits of seeing and eating insects as they wash downstream. Never leave a rock without at least making a cast or two on the front side. Okay, good one. A lot of rocks on the Blue, a lot of rocks over there at Beaver's Bend, even the Guadalupe. So, hey, never leave a rock without at least making a cast or two on the front side. Good one. Okay, last one this series, tip 113, rob the banks. The Yellowstone River is one of the last great undammed waterways in the West, and in many anglers' opinions, the ultimate trout river. Fishing the Yellowstone with author and guide Kim Layton for several days was a particularly enlightening experience because he taught me the importance of adhering to the banks when targeting casts. Although the mighty Yellowstone is wider than a 4-lane highway in some areas, It is amazing how much of the trout population can be found within feet, if not inches, of its bank. The reason is simple. The trout find cover such as rocky outcroppings and fallen logs along the banks. They are less exposed to predators such as eagles and herons there, especially when compared to the open currents in the middle of the river. They also find plenty of natural forage, including sculpins and grasshoppers close to the banks. The trout anglers should concentrate on robbing the banks. Whether fishing from a boat in a downstream direction or wading upstream, your first focus should always be tight to the bank. Watch where you step, fix your attention on the bank, and work your way out toward the middle of the river, covering the bank outward as you cast and move. Okay, well that was pretty good, robbing the banks. And in fact, I've caught many trout over there closer to the bank rather than in the middle of the river. So, hey, I like what it says. Work the banks, and then as you move out, cast further. Okay, so we'll wrap up episode 24 of the iFish News Fishing Podcast, podcast number 43. Do check back on our next episode in the series where we discuss tips 114 to 117, specifically 114, Rosenbauer's rules, 115, be the tree, 116, nervous water, and tip 117, your fly rod cannot see. All right, all for now. Till next time, we'll catch you later, and good luck with fishing.